We think you should know that Imperfect Heroes podcast is a production of Little Hearts Academy USA.
Welcome, heroes and heroines, to episode 120 of Imperfect Heroes, Insights into Parenting, the perfect podcast for imperfect parents looking to find joy in their experience of raising children in an imperfect world. And I'm your host, DJ Studs. Before we get started, I can't contain my joy. I'm so excited. My first children's book is now available on Amazon. It's called Roman is Bigger, and it's this beautifully illustrated book about a little boy, and go figure, his name is Roman, and he has some big feelings, but he has some simple words that he knows, and they're just not enough to clearly express what he is truly feeling. And so enjoy this fun story with your children, with your grandchildren, or your classroom as you learn about the power of words. And this book includes even a lesson plan for teachers and a parent page that's filled with ideas on how to help your kids expand their vocabulary and give them a major advantage in their education. So order your copy today. And I want to tell you that my illustrator, who is just amazing, for most of the time that she was illustrating, she was in Poland. But at some point, she decided she thought it was safe enough at home in Ukraine to go back and be with her husband and her parents. So she and her daughter went back, and they're facing some challenges. But she still, even with all of that, did just some beautiful illustrations. And so I hope that maybe you'll just at least pray for her and her family if you're a praying family. And even if you're not a praying family, pray for her anyway. What harm could it do? And so if you want to order your own copy from Amazon, the link is in the show notes or on the webpage for the podcast. If you go up to the top, there is a link for resources, and it's right there at the top of that. So you can always get it real easily, or just go to Amazon. Roman is Bigger, and you'll find it. It's just so adorable. I'm so excited. Okay, well, let's get started. I met my sweetheart, Russ, when I was 17. I know. And we got married when I was 20. And he was so much older than me. He was 21. And I had this vision of my family and how it was going to be. We were going to have 6 kids, and they were all going to love each other, and they were going to be each other's best friends, and we were going to play together and pray together, and I was going to have this beautiful, clean house, and they were going to be beautiful and perfectly dressed all the time. They were going to be the smartest kids in class and the kindest kids, of course. And all the kids in the neighborhood and in their classes were going to want to come to our house to hang out at our amazing, fun, exciting place. Oh yeah, they were going to be amazing athletes and leaders on their teams and great at sports. You know, they were going to be the ones that everyone was going to reach out to, and they were going to notice the ones who were outcasts or kind of left alone and on their own. And they were going to pull them in and say, come be a part of our group. And they were going to be kind and patient when the going got rough. And one more thing. They were going to sing. They were going to be musical. And they were going to be like the Von Trapp family. And if you don't know who the Von Trapp family, go watch The Sound of Music. What can I say? I was young. So, let me answer the question in the title of this episode, right? How to get your kids to stop arguing. And so I'm afraid the simple, honest answer is you can't get them to totally stop arguing. It doesn't work that way, nor should it. Actually, the truth is that you don't want them to completely stop arguing because there are some benefits to the occasional disagreement. and even some of the big disagreements. There are benefits that come from that, and you don't want to rob them from that. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. But there are some things, though, that you can do to kind of lessen the severity and the frequency of these really frustrating moments. I know it's not fun, right? But let's look at the first one that I want to talk about today. So first thing is, you want to stay calm and you want to set a great example. So one of the things that I want you to think about is to consider how you behave when you disagree with your spouse or maybe another family member or just someone in the community, right? A neighbor that you're mad at or a teacher that you disagree with, the principal at the school. What about your kid's coach or I don't know, whatever. But how do you behave when you're mad at someone? Because they're watching and they're learning. And in fact, it's funny, my mom told me this one time, was that if you want to see how your girls, anyway, this is what she told me, because it was back in the day, but how your girls see you as a mom, watch how they play with their dolls. The things that they say, how they treat their dolls. And that's how they see you as a mom. And it's true. Sometimes you'll go in and they're chewing out that doll, But it can also work with younger brothers and sisters as well, especially with an oldest child or an older child if you have several kids. You can see how they are treating their younger siblings. It's very often it's how they see you as a parent. So maybe it's like, oh, that's so sweet. Or it can be like, oh, that hurts. Is that really how I sound? And maybe to them it is how you sound. So you want to kind of pay attention to that and make sure that you're setting the example that you want them to follow. Hope that made sense. Anyway, and so think about how you talk about other people, even when they're not there, right? And it makes sense to, even when the kids aren't there, to hear how you are talking about other people, because you get in this habit of talking about people a certain way. And so it's kind of hard to just turn it off when the kids are there. And so if you are always saying nice things, or even when you have to criticize someone or critique someone, that you are doing it in a way that shows kindness and compassion, even though, say, I don't agree with this, but you're saying it in a way that isn't demeaning, calling names. We're not making up rude names for other people. Then that's kind of what you want to make sure that you're doing. Because if you get in the habit of doing that, even when the kids aren't there, automatically you're just kind of going to do it when the kids are there, because it's just human nature, right? And so you want to make sure that you are talking kindly about other people. So we've talked about how we talk to other people, how we talk about other people. And then when we get really flustered, do we get snarky? I can get that way. I've gotten a lot better, though, in time. And as I started really working on it and paying attention to how I get when I'm frustrated, when I'm not getting my way, when it's obvious I'm totally right? Which is like all the time. I'm never wrong, right? And so I could get really snarky at times when I felt like people weren't hearing me, or that they weren't moving fast enough, or that they weren't giving me the value that I was expecting for something. And so as I started paying attention to how I was talking to people, I did get better at it. And I'm pretty good at it now. I'm a lot better than I used to be. So think about people like salespeople, maybe some neighbors. How about school personnel, the lady in the office, or the nurse, the school nurse, some of those people that you have to deal with sometimes. How about delivery people that are delivering things to your home or to your business or whatever. So pay attention to those things and how you're doing it, because that's really is going to have a lot to do with how your kids react to one another. I know, pain, huh? You have to be good. All right. So There's another thing then that I want to talk about is when your kids are being after each other, when you go to intervene, you need to use a calm and loving voice when you're addressing the kids that are involved in the episode, right? You don't want to just add more noise to the craziness. If they're screaming and yelling and you come in with screaming and yelling, right? Does that make a lot of sense? Stop yelling! There was a joke around that. You'd see a mom in the store or something, or out in the parking lot, quit hitting your brother. Oh, that makes total sense. But I saw it happen all the time, especially when I was a kid. And I would laugh and think, yeah, that kid really understands, right? And so don't add to it with the way that you are coming in and getting involved. Come in and be the voice of reason. Be the voice of calm. Maybe if you just stand between them, right, as they're yelling, and you're just standing between them and just hug them both. You don't even have to say a word. Just go in and just hug them both. Just love on them, right? They'll think, what is mom doing? And that's okay. They can think you're crazy. And in fact, speaking of being crazy, be silly if you can, right? And have some fun. Sing a song. Start singing a song. I know that I'm the oldest of 7. I've mentioned that a time or two, I know, but maybe this is your first podcast you've listened to. So I'm the oldest of 7, and 5 of them are brothers. And so there were some arguments going on. So I've never had an argument with my sister my whole life. Never. She's 7 years younger than I am, cute as a button, but I never saw the need to argue with her. But brothers were a different story. And the brothers between each other were, brothers get competitive. And so my mom sometimes, I still remember this. I remember every word of the song. She would come in and start singing in her opera voice. She would just come in and start singing this song about love at home, right? There is beauty all around when there's love at home. And she'd go on and on. There's 3 verses to this song. And she would sing all 3 if she needed to. But she would just come in and start singing that song and start cleaning around wherever we were arguing or whatever. And we had to stop and laugh at her because it was ridiculous. And that's just something I remember about my mom. Or there's tons of songs that you can sing. The theme to Friends, right? I'll be there for you, whatever it is. And you don't have to have a great voice. In fact, sometimes it's even better if you don't. And you're just off key or you're whatever. And you're doing your thing. But to have a song that you sing, make one up if you don't know one. But there are plenty of songs that you can look up about friendship, about family. We are family, whatever it is. Find one that you love, learn the lyrics, and then just start singing when the kids are arguing and fighting, and they're going to stop out of shock. It's kind of fun. And then along with that is maybe find some way to just make them laugh. Use a goofy voice. Oh dear, my children are arguing. Oh no, whatever shall I do? And be silly about it. And they'll just look at you like, what on earth are you doing? But being silly, and we know scientifically that it's really hard to be angry and laugh at the same time. Now, my mom used to say, and she was a spanker. In fact, she was a beater. But she would say, I can hit you and laugh at the same time. She proved that to be true. She could. But as a parent, you can laugh. And I remember saying to my kids, you can make me laugh, but you're still in trouble. Because they could make me laugh. They cracked me up. But you're still in trouble, even if you made me laugh. That was inappropriate. It was funny, but it was inappropriate, and you're still in trouble. But it's just when you can get the family laughing and joking around with one another, it really eases things up. So I have a brother, Don, who is number 3 in line of the 7, And what a sense of humor. He still has a great sense of humor. But that was his talent. That was his job in the family, was when things would get really tense and tight in the family, he had a way of cracking a joke, or he had a George Carlin kind of sense of humor. And not everyone got it, but our family got it. And so he could say a joke or crack something up and make us laugh. And then all of a sudden things were better and a little happier, and we could manage through some of the harder times. So if you could put a pot on your head and go and act like nothing, doing things like you have no idea you have a pot on your head. Just do silly things. Do a crazy dance. Put on a song and dance like a grandparent and they're like, Mom, stop. And I'm like, oh, well, I thought since you guys were being crazy, I got to be crazy too. And it's like, okay, well, stop. Just stop that dancing. Oh, well, okay. You stop arguing. I stop dancing. Deal? And you just do some of those fun, silly things. And really, it does work more often than not. Honestly, it really does. Even with teenagers, it does. Sometimes even better. So there you are. But be sure to express love to both sides of the argument. And, I just love each of you so much. And it breaks my heart when I see you guys at each other, because you both mean the absolute world to me. And I understand that you're mad at each other, and, there might be a good reason, maybe not, whatever. You're going to have to decide if it's worth being really angry to someone that's so important to all of us. But it just breaks my heart because I love you guys so much. Maybe you want to go with that. Allow both sides to share their side of the story, but the other kiddo has to sit and listen to the whole other side, right? So, Susie, we're going to listen to Don's side of the story. And then when Don's done, he's going to have to listen to you. We're not going to interrupt first. You're probably going to want to start with the most impulsive child, maybe the youngest child, and let them tell their side, so that the one who's able to be more calm is the one who will wait. And then, because once the more impulsive child feels heard, and then you asked, have you said everything then that you need to say? And maybe they'll say, well, no, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, You're not agreeing, you're not disagreeing. Okay. Then you might want to say, here's what I heard. Da-da-da-da-da. Susie, what did you hear? Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. All right. Now, Dawn, you're going to listen, and Susie's going to tell her side of the story. And if they interrupt and say, no, that's not right, it's like, wait, no, you had your chance to tell. Now it's Susie's turn. She was quiet for you. You're going to be quiet for her. And they have to listen. And if you do that enough, really, they don't want to sit and listen to the others. And so they don't want you intervening, right? Is what's going to happen. And so then you can get to a point where you're going to say, oh, do you need me to come in so we can listen to everybody tell what's going on? No! All right. Can you work it out by yourselves then? Yes! All right. So, but working it out doesn't mean hitting or yelling. Working out means talking, right? Okay! And they'll get to that point. It's going to take some time and some work. Nothing worth working is going to happen overnight. It's going to take time and training and persistence and love and kindness, but it will kick in. I promise. I've seen it. I've helped many families through this. And so it happens, and it's going to be great and wonderful in time, right? And then eventually you're going to be able to help them come up with solutions. So what would you like to see happen? Or what's a better way that we could have handled this? You're not going to say, so how could have Dawn done better? You're going to say, okay, Susie, what's something then that maybe you could have done in a better way to help this out? Dawn, what could have you done? Well, I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong. Oh, okay. Well, you sit and think about it. We'll wait for you until you come up with an idea. And you can sit in silence for an hour. It won't take an hour, I promise. But just sit in quiet and let them work it out. Well, I don't know. What could I have done? I don't know. Let's think back on some of the things that you said. And you said this, and this. Do you think that was probably the kindest way to say that? Or was there a better way that you could have said that? And especially when you're getting started or when they're very young, they're going to need that kind of a help. Can you think of a better way to say that or a better way to ask that? Do you think you needed to hit Susie over the head with a fire truck to get your point across? Or was there maybe a better way to do it that wouldn't have hurt her? You're coming up with these ideas, but now you're helping them think, oh, well, I probably could have done it better than that. Yes, what's one of those ways? And now if you're helping them come up with the ideas, you're almost all the way there. That is huge once you get to that point that they're ready to come up with their own ideas. Okay? Does that help? I hope it does. Anyway, there you are. All right. So here's another big point. After there's been an episode, right, we are going to take some time to review and learn. Not necessarily even with the kids, because we've already gone through it with the kids, right? That was that big step. This is going to be something for me as mom or dad, my husband is dad, to review and say, okay, what just happened here, right? So let's take notes on, you may write them down. Sometimes I did so that I could kind of keep track. I'm a teacher. I gather data. It's what I do. But it does help. I promise it does help. And for parents that are working with me, I do have them write things down and do just some quick notes when there are episodes so that we can gather that data and see what's going on. But here's some of the things that you're going to want to look at. Who was involved? Which kids were involved, right? What were they upset about? What was going on, right? What caused it, right? What were they fighting over? What did they do about it? Like, was there hitting? Was there yelling? Were there hurtful words? Whatever, right? And then, what's the W's? Where did it happen? Was it outside? Was it in the garage? Was it in the living room? Was it in the bedroom? Where did it happen? And then, when did it happen? And this is going to be key. Was it as they got up in the morning, as we were trying to get out the door to leave for the day? Was it right after we got back from a long day of being away? Was it right before dinner? Was it right after dinner? Was it when we were trying to get everybody to bed? It might have been a bedtime delay tactic, actually. And so you're going to want to kind of keep track of when all of these things happen, because you're going to, once you gather some of that data, you're going to start noticing some trends. Oh my gosh, this is happening every day, 10 minutes after we get home, after school or after work or whatever, after practice, after football practice or soccer practice or piano lessons or whatever. It's happening at the same time. Okay. This is helping me understand the situation better. Now, what's going on? Are they hungry? Are they tired? Have they been cooped up in a classroom all day? And then I bring them home and I'm telling them they got to get going on their homework. Maybe they need time to run around and play. Is there a park or a green space that we can stop at on the way home to just run around? They've been in a classroom, right? And so maybe they need to run around. Maybe we need to get some snacks, some healthy snacks. Have they had a bunch of sugar for snack? Were they in the car and I started handing out Rice Krispie treats, right? And so what are some of the things that are going on that may be contributing to the problem that I hadn't really connected? I thought it was all about iPad is too noisy. I can't stand it. Turn it down, right? Or whatever it is. And you think that, but really it's not about the iPad at all. It's about something else that's going on, right? Maybe they are just wanting your attention, because negative attention is attention and it's better than being ignored. And so maybe they just want you. Isn't that nice? They want you. Oh, you want me. That's another one of the silly things I want. Oh, you wanted my attention. Oh, let me give you hugs. I know you'll feel better. And they're like, oh, Mom. I'm like, oh, give me kisses. Come on. And, I would be funny and silly about it sometimes. But, they still loved that. And so really look at it, gather that data, try to find some common points, notice the trends, and then create a plan or adjust something that's already going on, a current plan of what you're doing to make things a little better, right? And then see if that works. If it doesn't work, make some more adjustments. But always be looking for that data, the trends, what's going on. And so that's going to help you come up with some answers. And it may be a little bit of hit and miss. Maybe you misinterpreted something. Maybe it was just a one-off thing. I don't know. But as you get more data and you start seeing more trends, you're gathering in times and what was it about? Are they always fighting about the iPad? Maybe I just need to put it up for a while. Because there is a lot of research showing that kids tend to be more disagreeable, commiserate to the amount of time of screen time that they have. So the more screen time they have, the more argumentative and volatile they become. But we give it to them to keep them quiet, and it does. It'll keep them quiet for a time. But then how are they after it? How are they when we take it away? And we have a plan for that, right? So let's think about some of those things. All right, let's keep going. So now that we've gotten a better idea of what's going on and why our kids are fighting and when and all of that. So let's come up with some of those solutions that we just talked about, and we're going to practice them. And then I'm going to talk about maybe building a toolbox for the kids. And I mean really a toolbox, right? So with the younger children, the little guys, I'm talking about toddlers. Now they're a toddler once they start learning to walk. So there's no set age that you're a toddler. It's once you start learning to walk, you're a toddler. Before that, you're an infant. Easy, right? And so when they're a toddler, they're going to need to practice things like asking for a turn. Can I have that? And then what to do if someone says no. Because if I'm not done with the purple crayon, I can say, you can have it when I'm done. But I want it now, right? Because a toddler, waiting is very hard. So we might have a plan for what to do if someone says no. We're going to help them with that. They need a little more supervision when they're a toddler, right? And so, Susie said no. So what are we going to do while we're waiting for Susie? Maybe we're coming up with a plan of things, right? Okay. And then I really push this. This is one of the big things I do with my coaching is I really push for family, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, family night, family hour, family whatever. But every week, at least once a week. If you can do it more, geez, the better, right? But we want to have a time when it's fun, everyone's relaxed, and we're going to practice some of those things. So, and kids love to role play. They love to role play. And so we can practice. If mommy's coloring, and we can have our toddler, Danny, come up and say, I want the crayon. In a minute, I'm not done. And he knows it's play, he knows it's practice because it's family hour, right? It's whatever you want to call it. You can call it Rock of Gibraltar for all I care. But you'd call it the same thing every time so that they know what this is. And that this is a fun time. It's a practice time. It's silly time. You can have games. You can have some kind of healthy treats going on. And so I'm coloring. Now, I'm not going to make them wait very long, right? But I might count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm done. Here you go, Danny. Thank you for waiting, right? And then we can talk about some of the things that Danny can do. So I might be drawing, and so Dad is over there helping Danny think of them things. He can jump up and down. He can turn in circles. He can sit quietly and wait. He can go get a book. We have all kinds of things that he can do while he's waiting for Mommy to finish, right? The more you practice, the more invested it's going to be in him, the more natural it's going to be for him to know what to do when someone says, not yet, right? Or in a minute, or whatever that is, right? So we want to make sure that when we're doing this, that everyone understands we're all calm. This is our fun time. This is our play time. We're going to role play, and maybe, and especially once they start getting into their preschool years now, unlike toddlers, it's not by when they learn to walk. it's an age. So 3 is considered preschooler. 3, and then until they start kindergarten. So from 3 to kindergarten is preschooler. Preschoolers love to role play. And so you let them be the mom or the dad in a scenario, and you be the kid. Oh my goodness, they think that's just heaven, right? And so you role play things a little bit. And what great fun that is. But they're practicing, they're learning, and you're learning too. Kind of how you sound when how they think you sound anyway, right? Now, one of the fun things to do is to make a toolbox. And you might have, well, I just do it this way. So if you go to like the dollar store, or sometimes they have them at Target, I've seen them at Walmart, but the best bet is often the dollar store. And you can find little plastic actual toolboxes. They're small, they're just made for fun, and they cost $1. And I would go buy one for every kid in my class. And I'm a teacher. I have my own personal laminating machine at home. And I'll tell you, the small ones that you buy, like from Walmart or Sam's Club or Costco or wherever, Joann's, Michael's, they actually will laminate better than the ones at school. The problem is they don't laminate as big. You're only going to laminate something in about 8.5 by 11 is the size. And so we can download pictures, or better yet, you can take a picture of your kid doing the whatever and then laminate it and put it in the toolbox. And it's ways to solve a problem. So if your kids are arguing, then you can say, hey, let's go and pull something out of the toolbox and see what it is. So looking, you pull it out, whatever solution it comes with, then that's what they do. So it could be take turns. It could be go play with something else. It could be whatever kind of things that you come up with. Maybe you need mom's help. Do you really need mom's help? Because mom's going to make us listen to everybody and take up all our time. But maybe you do need mom's help. So maybe it's go get a grown-up to help. Maybe it is go to a quiet spot and calm down. So you can have all of these different things that you can choose to do. And then when the kids come to you, you can say, is this a mom problem or is this a toolbox problem? And eventually they're just not even going to come to you. They'll just go to the toolbox. And then eventually they won't even go to the toolbox. They'll just start using those strategies on their own. Yay! Isn't that something to celebrate, right? So if you have a little toolbox and you can make something, you can make it out of, those little cardboard gift boxes or whatever. And those are easy to find too. They're generally not $1, but whatever you have around, you can have the kids decorate it, whatever it is. But then that's sitting there and that has solutions on how to solve a problem that are fit for your family. I hate to give you too many ideas because I want you to figure out the ones that work for you and work for your family and your own values and your own personalities that are in your family. And maybe it's go outside and run around the backyard 5 times and get that energy off. Maybe that's something you're going to put in your toolbox. But I want you to find solutions that are good for your family and for your kids and their varying personalities and put those in the toolbox, and then they start using it. Totally cool, right? Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about too is consider, do you really need to get involved? Do they really need to have a grown-up come in and solve their problems every time? I'm going to tell you that's a bad strategy, because then you're going to wind up with kids as they're getting older and they don't want your help, but they haven't learned how to solve problems in a positive manner. So they're just going to get mad and yell and scream and pout. And that's their strategy. And how good is that? Is that something that is going to work well for your family or for your kids? Usually not. And so we want them when they're young to be able to learn these strategies. And so it's part of who they are. And they're going to be so much better off than these other kids that just learn to pout and yell and just insist and get snarky and whatever. to get their way, because those are the strategies that have worked for them at home. But that's not going to work for them out in the world and in society, in business, right? In their other relationships. How's that going to work in a marriage? It's not. I'll just tell you now. And I'm sure you're quite aware of that, right? So we want to give them those opportunities to learn. So give them a chance to practice the things that they've learned. And so that's why, we're graduating from going to an adult to going to the toolbox, then to having those and not even needing the toolbox, but understanding what to do. And sometimes you're going to let them know that you trust them to find the answer. You know what? You guys are so smart and you've been doing so well lately. I'll bet if you two go and sit down and just talk about it, I have every confidence that you two can work this out and come up with a strategy that's going to work. And if you need to write it down and figure it out, if you want to post it somewhere, that's great. And if you need my help, because sometimes if they're younger, they might need you to type it out and put it on a poster board, or on a paper and stick it up on the wall or whatever. Some kids really like that. Some kids don't, but some kids do. And so if that's what they want, and I'll be glad to help you once you come up with that, we'll get it all set up. But I'd love to hear what you come up with and kind of let them know that you trust them. And kids generally are capable of far more than we think they are, right? And so, and then again, just make sure you're not taking sides on it, because you don't know the whole story. Even if you're listening to both of them talk, you still don't know the whole story, right? And if we had one child in our family out of 5, one, that was just so easy to get along with, and she didn't get angry, and she didn't push limits, and her room was generally clean. And if it got to a point, where she was like, oh yeah, I got to clean this room. And it was usually way before I was like, Rocky, you got to go clean your room. She'd already got it cleaned. Where the others would push limits and test boundaries, and, grades were more often an issue. Rocky, not so much. And so, and like, my boys were adrenaline junkies, and I was always worried they were going to get killed on one of their big adventures and stuff. And so it would have been very easy for me. And I think I was guilty of this from time to time, have to admit it, because she was so easy that I would tend to take her side on things. I tried not to. I did. I really did. But, it's just that, what, you're trying to tell me that she did this or that? Right. But she wasn't perfect. And so, you really had to pay attention. You really have to be sure you're not taking sides. Do better than me. Make sure you're not taking sides, but just say, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm hearing. Have I got it right? And then let them come up with. So what's the answer, guys? Because I don't know. I mean, and then you can go back to the values that you've instilled. And, we'll have another talk about, establishing family values and what's important to your family and what are the things. So you can always go back to that. Do you have a family motto? I talk about a parenting plan. How does all of that fit? And so these are things that you can go back to, you can refer your kids back to, and say, how can we use these values to come up with a better plan that will make everyone more comfortable? That's a better answer for everyone, right? Okay. So there we are. That's just that. And then really, the last thing that I really wanted to talk to you guys about is be sure to catch them being good when they're getting along, when they're sharing, when they're asking for permission, when they're doing all of those things, right? When they're helping without being asked, all of those things, this is such a big one. This is going to have a huge impact on it. Because the truth is, you're going to get more of what you pay the most attention to. So if they get the most attention by fighting and arguing, and all of a sudden you're there, negative attention is still attention. I've said that before, right? They need your attention, and they will take negative attention over being ignored. And so if you want to give them positive attention for doing positive things, right, then you're going to get more of that positive. Now, is everything 100% and works every time? No, right? And so, but you can say things like, wow, you're going to be a great scientist someday, or well, I think you just might have the makings of a great therapist, or whatever it is, or they help with a boo-boo. They didn't run in and get mom, but every Band-Aid's open. They've had that happen, right? I sure have. You go in and there's like 10 bandages all open, and there's bandages all over because someone fell and got a boo-boo. And it's like, oh, you really helped your sister or your brother. Wow, you're going to be a great doctor or nurse someday, or whatever. You're going to be a great problem solver. I see problem solving going on here. Imagine that. You're doing so great. Or, wow, that was so kind. Or, that was so smart. I would have never thought of that. Look how creative you are. Yeah, that one will cover all kinds of things, right? And so just find the goodness in the things that they're doing instead of jumping to get angry because they made a mess. But look at from their point of view of what they were trying to do. That's wonderful. So, are you done? You're going to help clean up, and then you help them. You get in with them cleaning up. I want this cleaned up by the time I get back. It's not going to be clean. It's going to be clean if you help them and build that relationship while you're doing it. Right? That's the whole story. That's the whole thing, is building that relationship as you're working together, right? So I know I'm running out of time, but I just love, I hope you pick up on this. I truly love talking to parents and coming up with solutions on the challenges that you're facing and all of those responsibilities of raising kids, with kindness and with values and in faith. And it's just my favorite thing to do. And we have so much fun together when we talk. And I'd love to have a conversation with you. And so I'm going to tell you that there's the link to my calendar in the show notes that are down below. And honestly, I'd love for you to feel free to contact me. And I'd love to talk with you. So I give everybody a free 50-minute conversation, and we can share about the amazing things your kids are doing and what's going on in your home and what are some of the questions that you have. And that's something I do for everyone. I just love connecting with people and seeing what's going on and sharing some of that fun. So I hope you'll take advantage of that, because that's my very, very, very favorite thing to do. And so now, if you like today's podcast and you like some of what you heard or all of what you heard, just be sure to rate and review, and then go tell a friend. I heard this fun podcast, and DJ's a little loony, but she's got some good ideas, and she's fun to listen to. I hope I am. Let me know if I'm not, but let me know if I am too. I'd love to get comments. And so you can do this on your favorite platform, of course, or if it's too hard or you can't figure out how to do it. I know some of the platforms, it's a little harder to leave a review or a rating or whatever. You can always make sure, and I think a lot of you are already on it, but if you go to the podcast's website, which is just www.imperfectheroespodcast.com, then on that webpage, up at the top, you're going to see reviews, and you click on that, and then there's just leave a review, and it's that easy. So it's right by resources. Yeah. Right by there. And so you can just leave a review there and always leave a comment. I love to hear your comments. So before we wrap up, I just want to make sure, because I have this exciting opportunity coming up in November. I know, but you can pre-register now. Free. I always do my challenges for free. I never charge for them. And the next one's starting on November 13th. So it's coming up, and I'm hosting 5 days of service, and it's a challenge. The holidays are just around the corner, and it's not about the decorations, and it's not about the parties. It's about reaching out to others and teaching our children the joy of giving and creating meaningful experiences as a family. And so this challenge this time is going to be a little bit different. And so every day we're going to we're going to work together to plan a service event that truly matters to your family. And then on Thursday, we're going to put that plan into action. And then on Friday, we're going to have this reflective session for everyone that they can share, tell stories, what went wrong, what went right. But we're just going to have some fun with it. There are always going to be little ideas of things you can do every day, small things you can do. But, maybe it's something like gathering socks to donate to a homeless shelter, or collecting diapers in the neighborhood to donate to a women's shelter, or some places have a diaper bank, right? Whatever it is that is meaningful to your family, books for a library, or even a neighborhood book exchange thing. There's all kinds of things that you could do. Have a Christmas party and have everyone bring something that you're going to donate to a certain cause, whatever that is. And so whatever you want to do, but we're going to talk about planning it, getting the kids involved, and putting it into action. How fun is that going to be? And so I want you to join us in spreading, kindness and joy through service this holiday season. And, this is a chance to be somebody's superhero, or maybe it's just being their special angel for the day. So keep an eye on your email. And if you're not on my email list, easy to get on it. Doesn't cost anything. You just go to my website, which is www.littleheartsacademyusa.com. Link is in the show notes. And you'll see where it just says sign up for our email. And you can get on that. And so you'll get all of the information. And, on that same website, you'll see where the link where you can register, pre-register for the challenge, and just have it be a fun time for your family. And so I just hope you'll have a fun time and be a part of this heartwarming journey, and just embark on this with us and your loved ones, and have some fun. So don't forget to check us out on YouTube and Rumble. So on YouTube, it's littleheartsacademyusa.com, and on Rumble, it's Imperfect Heroes. But if you just look for DJ Stutz, either way, you're going to find us. And now next week, I am talking with Jenna Ponte. I can't say her last name right. It's Zacchaeus, I think. She'll say it for me. She's told me it several times and I still can't get it right. Anyway, she is this amazing expert on outdoor spaces. And so whether you live in warm, cold, or the frozen tundra, she can help you come up with a plan to set up your outdoors in a way so that your kiddos can actually have a ton of fun enjoying your outdoors. And so check it out and see. And until next time, let's find joy in parenting. Bye, guys.